Hello, hello, my friends. It is Aldo, and welcome back to the Knights of the Nerd Republic. You know what to do, and stay profitable.
The Nerd Academy podcast is released weekly at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, available on our website at www.thenerdacademypodcast.com and wherever you listen to podcasts. You can find the Nerd Academy podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. You can also help support the show by going to patreon.com/The Nerd Academy podcast, where every donation allows us to bring you more exciting content every week.
All right, I'm going to get this out of the way now.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
The clip.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. From the front.
StreamYard went apeshit for some reason there and didn't play it the way I needed it to. Also, that guy now has press credentials in the Pentagon, so that's fun. Hello there, and welcome to Knights of the Nerd Republic, the show, your favorite nerd talk, all things about the galaxy far, far away. We have a doozy. You saw the title. You saw the thumbnail. We're talking about the Ben Solo movie because I have a lot of feelings. I'm not gonna try to not crash out. I'm your host, Jarod the Dark Jedi Bachman Subs, and joining me this week is the Lord Keeper, the One-Eyed Knight, the Italian Stallion, Mr. Conor Cicchini.
Hello. Yeah. We got an almost movie. Wild.
And joining Conor and I is the one and only Kentucky One Kenobi, Bill Sheehy.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
I already love Bill as a member of KNR. This is great.
It's perfect. It's great.
Happy to be
it's
here.
Great.
Thank you so much for having me again, despite everything we've been through.
I don't want to be God's strongest soldier.
Before we get into anything too crazy, I do want to take a moment. Maybe it was bad optics for me to open the show with a clip of Alex Jones before pivoting to this part. Bill, you have a very cool thing you're working on these days.
Yeah,
would you like to plug that and share that?
Yeah, man. So, so for the past 8 years, I have been in my spare time, been doing podcasts, whether it be with the Resistance broadcast, Skywalking Through the League, TNAP. I actually, in the past month or so, got pinned down to be the executive producer for a brand new show for somebody in the state of Kentucky who's running for Senate. It's called Truth in the Barrel. It's hosted by Amy McGrath, who is somebody who is well known in Kentucky politics. It's a really, really cool job where I get to take my experience, what I've been doing behind the scenes into my personal time and make it into my day job. And it's really, really, really cool. I love that I get to do this. And if you like me here, it's a different experience. I can assure you but it is I'm working for someone who I believe in, for somebody who I think cares about the people of Kentucky and who would make a wonderful senator. But I think anybody who likes politics, who likes national security, who likes any of it would enjoy it. So check it out. Truth in the Barrel on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anything like that. I'm working really, really hard on it. We're all working hard on it. And if you like me here, I think you'll like what we're doing over there. So check it out over there.
Please go check out Truth in a Barrel. I watched. Is that the most recent episode?
So that is, it's the first episode I produced was the one in the Moorhead, and
Okay.
like it's what I will say is I think it's a wonderful conversation with regular people who would not necessarily get the opportunity to like deal with somebody who is a public servant. But Amy is someone that I really, really respect, and I think that the episode I sent you, it was a Q&A with Moorhead State students and residents in Eastern Kentucky, and I think it was a really, really interesting conversation that Amy had with those people and like what their concerns are. And it's political, and like it is what it is. I think people know where I stand on most things, so like
Yeah.
it's that kind of thing. It's not often that people get to interact with their public servants in that capacity, and I'm proud of it because I think this like I am proud of that episode because it shows that people care about what's going on, and then you also have a public servant who just like cares about what's going on and like wants to help people. So if nothing else, that's it. So if that sounds interesting to you, give it a listen. I'm very proud of it, and I would appreciate if you guys listened to it and subscribed. It would help me and help me with my new endeavor. So thank you so much.
Link will be in the description. But yeah, all of that said, before we jump into this doozy of a story, a brief word from our sponsors over at Sunday's Bloody Mary. Do you at home feel a sense of frustration and disappointment learning that your favorite Star Wars character nearly had a movie that sounds exactly like what you've been saying for years is the exact way to bring him back? And now you know that it's never going to happen? Well, drown your sorrows away in a Sunday's Bloody Mary, the only Bloody Mary mix trusted by this bartender to be better than a from scratch Bloody Mary with their 3-time award-winning spicy mix as well as their mounted traditional mixes. If the spice isn't for you, like I said, is the only mix better than a from scratch Bloody. If you want to check up your Bloody Mary game for the rest of your life, use the link in the description down below and use the code TNAP at checkout to get 10% off your order and help out your favorite nerds while you do it. All right. Let's do this. Recently, Adam Driver had an interview with the AP. And a funny little news story came out of it. So I'm going to read directly from the AP article just so we're all up to speed and know everything we know as like this is the source. Quote, I was always interested in doing another Star Wars, says Driver, who starred as Kylo Ren in the trilogy kicked off by The Force Awakens. I had been talking about doing another one since 2021. Kathleen had reached out. I always said, with a great director and a great story, I'd be there in a second. I love that character, and I love playing him. Driver says he took a concept to Steven Soderbergh for a film that would take place after 2019's Rise of Skywalker. That movie culminated in Ren's redemption and apparent death. Driver had undertaken the trilogy with an arc in mind for Ren that inverted the journey of Darth Vader. As the trilogy evolved, it didn't play out that way, which I disagree with. I think that's exactly what it is. Driver felt there was unfinished business for Kylo Ren, or as he was known before turning to the dark side, Ben Solo. Soderbergh and Rebecca Blunt outlined a story that the group then pitched to Kathleen Kennedy, Lucasfilm Vice President Carrie Beck, and Lucasfilm Chief Creative Officer Dave Filoni. They were interested, so the filmmakers then pulled in Scott Z. Burns to write a script. Driver calls the result one of the coolest fucking scripts I had ever been a part of. We presented the script to Lucasfilm. They loved the idea. They totally understood our angle and why we were doing it, Driver says. We took it to Bob Iger and Alan Bergman, and they said no. They didn't see how Ben Solo was alive, and that was that. It was called The Hunt for Ben Solo, and it was really cool, adds Driver. But it is no more, so I can finally talk about it. Soderbergh said in a statement, "I really enjoyed making the movie in my head. I'm sorry the fans won't get to see it." Representatives for Disney and Lucasfilm declined comment.
Wake it! Do what Trevorrow probably did with episode 9.
Jared, you might not crash out, but like for the first time in like 5 years, I'm going to crash out about a Star Wars story.
Yeah.
What the hell? Like everything about this story, like this feels like tailor-made for like a panel at Star Wars Celebration in 2027. Like bring him out, say like this is happening, because like from the beginning, like say what you will about the Rise of Skywalker, I'm a big fan of it. I know people aren't. I think it ends in a way where like yeah, he like disappears, but like I think there's enough fan fiction stuff where like, and it ends in a way where like if you wanted to do a story like this, it would make sense. I can't understand an executive looking at this saying, yeah, Steven Soderbergh and Adam Driver and Lucasfilm and Kathleen Kennedy and Dave Filoni are all okay with this. I can't understand how Ben Solo is alive when Darth Maul, who we have been using in Rebels, Clone Wars forever, was sawed in half, did not have...
Sawed in half.
He was sawed in half. He was. He just was. But, like, you can't understand that, like, yeah, Ben Solo, he disappeared, but, like, we also have the world between worlds now. Like, it just...
Okay. Can I... Is now a good time for me to do my, like, mapping out of what I think this would have been?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, I'm going to start with what you just said with the Star Wars Celebration of it all. Celebration, wherever you decide we're going to do this at. Lucasfilm Showcase, and we have something very special to announce. Lights go out. We hear the voice of Luke Skywalker say, "Nobody's ever really gone."
Cool.
We then hear the infamous, the thing I have permanently tattooed on my body, "I will finish what you started."
Cool.
Kylo Ren arrives at the battle, transposed into the major key, plays Star Wars The Hunt for Ben Solo. We bring out Adam Driver and Steven Soderbergh to talk about this movie. And the crowd shakes the heavens with how much they freak out over it. Here's how I think this movie works, because off rip, I already don't like the conversations being had. I made a joke on Blue Sky where I was like, nobody, not even myself, will have a good opinion about the Hunt for Ben Solo, because 8 years of discourse has pressure cooked our brains to the point where we are incapable of having good opinions anymore.
Mm.
And I was being hyperbolic because I have the best opinion about it. But
obviously,
I'm gazing into my navel as we speak. But I already am frustrated by the amount of people who are taking the time to shit on the Rise of Skywalker with this. Already, this is why so many people do not want to hear from the Kylo Ren, Ben Solo, Die Hard / Reylo contingent. It is okay to not like a movie.
Mm-hmm.
We need to fucking chill about it. We need to get over it. I am never going to make the Fandom Menace comparison, because I don't think these beasts are comparable. I think it's a group of people who let their devotion to a specific character completely alter their ability to engage with the text. There are reasons to not like The Rise of Skywalker. It is not my favorite Star Wars movie. I do think it has a lot that is really beautiful and is very cogent and kind of interconnected with the very like fabric of the themes of Star Wars. But already I'm frustrated with they're going to fix Rise of Skywalker. Stop. We're not having this conversation, because Adam Driver has made it clear he's proud of the work he did on these
Yeah,
movies.
and like,
And that includes the movie you don't fucking like.
Yeah, 100%. And like, I think people will often say that like the Rise of Skywalker like retcon stuff in The Last Jedi. No, I think it expands on stuff in The Last Jedi and like does it in a different way. It'd be the same thing. The things that happen in The Rise of Skywalker would be expanded upon in The Hunt for Ben Solo. I agree with you. Your fan, like like you said, I will never compare them to the Phantom Menace, but like at the same time, like the Rise of Skywalker like was spoiled for me by somebody on Twitter who was a Raylo that was very, very like anti, that got to see the movie early and then like spoiled it and like for what happened. So like that's fine. I still love the movie. I will still like it's a top 3 Star Wars movie for me, regardless. But like,
and you're bold for that. I respect you.
No,
as somebody who gets called every name but their own and a child of God on the internet for having TLJ in that number 1 spot, I love it.
I also have TLJ as the number 1 spot.
Yeah.
So like it's like TLJ, Return of the Jedi, and The Rise of Skywalker are the top 3 for me. But like the ability like The Hunt for Ben Solo would expand on one of my favorite Star Wars movies. And like I don't get it. I don't understand what Iger is seeing. And like far be it for me to be political, but like he just hasn't been great. Like, but I hate that there is a world where like this movie happens and like you are courageous for like greenlighting this movie because like it expands on the best parts of the sequel trilogy, but they just like do not have the vision that I think that you should have to make like
so much of it. I have a hard time taking a lot of the people seriously who are like ready to go to the mat over this. Like, in the Comic Book Cast Facebook group, shouts out to all the homies over at CBC. Like we've been joking about like me getting ready to become like, I joked about becoming the leader of the woke fandom menace to get this made, like the Snyder cut. And, like part of that is like, who's not allowed at the party? Who's not allowed in the woke fandom menace? People who go, we can't understand how Ben Solo's alive, but it's the movie with somehow Palpatine returned. Again, it's like, I don't, if you're still stuck on a line of dialogue devoid of context, then I don't take your opinion on this seriously. And it's what drives me up a wall. Well, somehow Palpatine returned, but Ben Solo can't come back. Well, yeah, we know the somehow Palpatine returned. Cloning and essence transfer. It's made explicit in the movie.
And that's kind of his whole MO. Like,
also,
and you can
the
say
dark
you don't like
side
it.
is a pathway to many abilities some consider to be unnatural. I was in like immediate. Like that's it. That's all I need.
And again, and that would have been enough. Like, but we get these lines about, dark science, cloning, secrets only the Sith knew. We see the vat of clones. We see the decaying body. We hear the Emperor say explicitly, I need a new body. This one is failing me. I need to get out of this before it crumbles on me. Oh, wait a minute. I can just force drain these 2 remarkably powerful people, and that will suffice. Cool. All of that is explicit in the movie. All of this is explicit in the movie from people who claim to be media understanders. I don't want to talk about how much I want this movie with that sect of the fandom. I am so deeply frustrated by this insistence that we are going to put up this line of dialogue, again, devoid of context, that somehow Palpatine returned. Like, that's the only explanation that's given. If you do not comprehend that, then you are not ready then you're not ready for like the weird metaphysical woo-woo bullshit that is going to be necessary to bring Ben back. fundamentally, I don't think you're ready to have this conversation
Mhm.
because you are demonstrating an unwillingness to engage with the text because your favorite character died at the end. And hey, guess what? I feel you. I'm gonna fall over trying to do
There,
this.
do it.
I get it.
Let's see it.
Kylo Ren tattoo, right?
There
Covered
you
up on
go.
my name tag. Kylo Ren tattoo, right there. Okay, I get it. He's my favorite character too. If I
You
have
know who was
one major,
okay with what happened with Kylo Ren at the end? Kylo Ren. like
yeah,
Adam
like
Driver said, he like you made that point earlier, but like, come on, man. Like if the actor who put all the time and effort into creating that character is like, I'm proud of what happened. Like, what's the complaint? Like and he was still willing to like make this story work. Like it is frustrating. I hear your frustration.
and again, like, and we're gonna get off to the fandom politics of it in a second, but I just need to make it abundantly clear. Like, if we're still talking about somehow Palpatine returned as like the bellwether for why the movie's bad, I'm sorry, I don't think you're ready for this conversation. I don't think you're ready for this conversation. If, again, my biggest issue with that movie is that Ben Solo dies. I, to this day, and I will stand on this until I am blue in the face and have no air left in my lungs, until the day I die. I think that of everything people want to talk about the Rise of Skywalker, fan service, this, that, I don't want to fucking hear it. I think killing off Ben Solo was a cowardly creative decision. I think that leaving us with a character who has found redemption, who has crossed the arc, across that bridge of turning back to the light side, I fundamentally think it is kind of shitty to kill that character off. A, because it's tired in Star Wars. I am tired of every single person who turns the corner, except for somehow Agent Callus being the only one who dodges the bullet. Everybody dies. Everybody dies. And I think it makes for a much more compelling story. And I think it leaves the landscape of Star Wars in a much more interesting place if you leave this person in a position where they need to clean up their mess. Redemption is cool. It's time for atonement. I think
And
that is
also,
so much more compelling.
I agree. And then like just let's look at like the landscape of like Star Wars movies that are supposedly going to come out in the next like 3 or 4 years. You've got Mandalorian Grogu, you got Starfighter, you've got Rey's New Jedi Order. Like, I think Rey's like the Jedi Order is more interesting with Ben Solo in it. like then it's just like with Rey. I love Rey, but like
Yeah. Well, and that was my whole thing. Like, I love to joke, Bill, both of you have heard this story before. The only real, like, prolonged, loud argument I ever got into with Taylor was in a Walmart parking lot in the car for 45 minutes over whether or not Ben Solo would have been executed for crimes against the galaxy. And I have always said, in the real world, in The Hague, yeah, probably, but hey, you know what? Maybe not, because who fucking knows anymore? But like, my whole thing was, the way you do this is that Rey goes to bat for him, and that he is basically put on lifelong Jedi Temple house arrest. And not only is he going to use the intimate knowledge he has as the former supreme leader of the First Order to help root out the First Order remnant, because obviously not all of it has been destroyed. They crippled it at Exegol, but like, there's still going to be pockets out there. The former Supreme Leader is going to help root out what's left using the intimate knowledge he has of that organization, and he has to help rebuild not only the galaxy but the Jedi Order as well, and that's on him. And that is a life sentence for him.
And like, it's not just his intimate knowledge. You know who else's intimate knowledge it is? The Force Ghost of Luke Skywalker, the Force Ghost of his mother. Like, you don't think that they would be counseling him the entire time? Yeah. Like, I think that there is the sins of Vader. Like, to go back to your point, to like, if this were to show up at Celebration, I will finish what you started. I will finish what Anakin Skywalker started.
Exactly. That is why I have that. That is why I have that. That is why I have that quote on the tattoo.
Mm-hmm.
because for those of you who couldn't see it, who haven't seen it before, it is Kylo's helmet, the one from the Rise of Skywalker where it's shattered, a flower, Kylo Ren's lightsaber, the Skywalker saber, and a band of text that reads, "I will finish what you started," because it is exactly that. It is about Ben Solo completing the destiny of Anakin Skywalker. And again, there are people who do not want to engage with this in good faith. There are people who want to say this will fix the Rise of Skywalker. We have wasted. I like that. That I think is my main crash out part of this. Is that like I want this movie more than most people, I think. I want this character back for a lot of reasons. And quite frankly, I think if you're going to kill him the best way to continue the story now is to bring him back. And I want to talk about that because my vision for what this would look like is, and again, how do you do it? Here's how. There's the concept of force nexuses. There is a concept of wounds in the force, places that are drenched in the power of the living force. Pardon my hiccups. Places that are drenched in the power of the living force. That when force users are present there, there's a little more oomph behind it for them. You know, think Tython, think Octo, think Moraband, Korriban, Kamoraband, whatever you want to call it. Exegol. Exegol is a nexus in the Force. The Force flows in a stronger, more potent current on this world because of how entrenched in the Force, particularly the dark side here. When Rey and Darth Sidious face off, I think you can say that it creates a bizarre Force singularity. And that because you have a tremendous power in the dark side and a tremendous power in the light bouncing back at each other, mixed with the additional spiritual weird shit happening on Exegol, you know, I think you can make an argument that like the veil between the corporeal world and the nether world of the Force, that veil has been pierced.
Mm-hmm.
And that veil is lifted. And that when Ben channels the Force to heal Rey, sapping up his energy, sacrificing his life, that when he collapses and he fades away, what is happening there is because the veil has been lifted, it's not so much that he has died and become one with the Force, so much as it is he has died, or that his physical body is in the Force.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that he is, you know, again, netherworld of the Force, world between worlds, maybe those are the same thing, whatever. And that is where he is. And already we were getting into some really rich thematic stuff, right? Because Ben Solo's life was spent in this really dramatic push and pull between his nature in the light side and his like desire for the dark side.
Mm-hmm.
So in the same way that he lived with both of those things at war in his heart, he is ushered into the next life by tremendous acts of, you know, the light and the dark pushing against each other, by basically avatars of that journey. You know, if it is the Emperor who's pulling the strings to help send him down this dark path, and the woman whose companionship and compassion and empathy helped guide him back to the light, they are at war, and it sends him into purgatory. It sends him into limbo. Mm-hmm. And he's just kind of living in this weird in-between space. And when he wakes up in let's just say the world between worlds, congratulations, everybody. What was one of the other things people said they wish they got to see? Ben Solo interacting with Anakin Skywalker. Who better to shepherd him through the afterlife?
As somebody who we've already seen is in the afterlife and is shepherding his former apprentice.
Exactly. Like, here's the moment you do it. And this is the moment where we get to have those conversations and put it in writing. Mm-hmm. You know, and like, part of me wants to be snarky and say for the people in the back who can't fucking read, but like, but like just to solidify what this character's story is about, you know, so that Ben can have that aha moment
Also,
of what were you saying? Sorry,
I
I'm
think that
rambling.
the fact that we are like so deep in the weeds in this speaks to the fact that there is a story there.
Yeah,
It doesn't
and I'm not
take
Steven
any thought.
Soderbergh, so who the fuck
Yeah,
cares what I have to say?
no, and you are somebody who's very, very thoughtful and like knows this stuff. Like, this isn't hard. like,
No,
what are we doing here? Like, you know?
Connor, we've been going at it for a minute. What are you at? What are you thinking, bud? Before I get back into how I think this works.
I mean, yeah, it would have been cool if this happened. Again, the landscape of Star Wars storytelling would have been a lot more interesting. As you said, if we had a movie and story about like the atonement / redemption / return of Ben Solo in this like Force Nexus-y spiritual type stuff. Yeah, that's really all I got about this movie. Would have been cool if we got it. Like the script.
Well, I mean, I agree. It's just, and
Do
again,
what
like you have
Trevorrow
this.
probably did. We don't know if it was Trevorrow, but do it how whoever leaked episode 9. Duel of the Fates.
You know,
Whoever leaked episode 9, you have a job.
well, and again, like there's so much in there of like again, like getting into these themes about legacy. You know, like that is the defining theme of the sequel trilogy is legacy. Again, you're two poles, right? Of Rey and Kylo Ren. One is burdened by legacy. One has the concept of legacy affect them so deeply that it kind of causes a mild psychotic break that allows him to not only create a secondary identity. You know, again, he was not anointed Kylo Ren. He was not, this was not a Darth title given to him. He himself felt the need to create a new persona to embody the dark side with because the burden of legacy and the feelings of abandonment broke him. And your other pole is somebody who longs for legacy, who is so who just yearns for the very idea that she is a part of something bigger than herself, whose longing, whose abandonment also broke her, but in a like in a way that like borders on like that delusion we see from her in The Force Awakens with Rey, with that like, you know, oh, they're coming back to Jakku any day now. Any day now, that shit, that little ship's coming back.
They're coming back to Jakku.
They're going to Jakku. It's a little
I miss my
slime
parents.
hole.
Where are my parents?
Nima Outpost, very bad place, people. You go to the Gozan Badlands, and they say, "Oh shit, I forgot his name. I was getting ready to say it. What's the name of the No, it was the other raider that Ray runs into. You go to the Gozan Badlands, and Unkar Plutt says, "Bring me back a motivator," and I say, "I don't have a motivator. I don't have a motivator." He says, "Give me a motivator. I'll give you."
He's a bad hombre.
Bad hombre, Unkar Plutt. You come back and he goes, "Oh, sir, I'll give you 18 quarter portions." Anyway, this is doing gangbangers right now, to quote Taylor. But yeah, it's just there's so much there with these themes of legacy, you know, that again, and like to give Ben this moment of catharsis. Like I feel like you could do like a Force version of like fucking Paradise Lost or the Divine Comedy. Like this could be Ben Solo's Inferno, where he's like traveling through like the netherworld of the Force, and the nature of what is at play is presented to him. You know, again, we need to remember that in the context of this story, we take for granted that Palpatine was manipulating Ben at this point. That is a new development for him. He learned that 3 fucking days ago.
Mm-hmm.
He learned 3 days ago that Snoke didn't exist. He learned 3 days ago that every voice you've ever heard inside your head was the Emperor. You know? And Ben is so, like, again, this is somebody who's been asked, who's wanted nothing more, I think, on a fundamental psychological level than to be sincerely asked to come home. But he's gone so far astray that any request to come home feels hollow. It feels like we don't want to fight you because you're scary and the First Order is horrific. It feels petty. It doesn't feel sincere. He needs that sincerity. And when the Force itself allows Han Solo to visit upon him and tell him it's time to come home, you can tell in the look in his face, because of Adam Driver's magnificent performance, that like that is somebody who needed to sincerely hear, "We want you back, man."
Yeah.
You know, and to put Ben in this situation where to him he's dead. To him he's dead and he died and he probably deserved it. And now the only other person in the galaxy who ever lived in this galaxy who fundamentally understands the position Ben is in, who Ben has spent years praying to the like vulgar altar of, is here to be like, "Hey, big guy." You know, it's like the Captain America in Homecoming meme. You know, you flip the chair around. So, Sheev Palpatine lied to you and convinced you to do some heinous shit, huh?
You know, here's an idea. What if like we've got a follow, like a lead up to like Rey's like new Jedi Order movie, and like this is like the hunt for Ben Solo is like you've got the dynamic between the dyad where you've got Ben dealing with that he's in like this purgatory, and then like Rey is actively trying to find ways to like find him.
Yeah.
Like that makes sense to me. Like why?
Yeah. Or like what he's doing is sending reverberations out through the
Yeah.
Force. And Rey is like, "Y'all, I don't want to sound crazy, but I think I sense Ben."
Mm-hmm.
You know? And and I think there's a lot there. Again, I don't know what the whole movie looks like. I don't know how much of the movie is in World Between Worlds, Force Purgatory. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know what journeying through the 9 rings of Force hell looks like. What I do know is that this is the opportunity to have Ben hear the words, "You did finish what I started. You Ben Solo finished what I, Anakin Skywalker, started."
Now,
And you helped, as you so eloquently put it, Bill, you helped finally put to rest the sins of Darth Vader.
what? Now, let me ask you guys this, because like I've seen this online, and like it's. Do we think this is like Adam Driver putting this out there, kind of like Ryan Reynolds put out the Deadpool like test footage to like try to see if this like if there's an appetite for this, and then immediately like getting a reaction out of people and like showing that like, hey, there is an appetite for this. Like, what do y'all think?
Conor, if you have a thought on this, I'm gonna let you go first because I have a lot of mixed feelings on this.
Well, there were rumors about this movie back in 2020, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe not. I really don't know.
If that was the case, it wouldn't surprise me. But like, for it to come out this late, like when did he say that like they nixed it?
Well, they don't really say when it got nixed. One of
That
the
is
things
true,
that's
yeah.
kind of been a bellwether is that people have said that apparently on Steven Soderbergh's Letterboxd up through like last year, he was watching and logging every single Star Wars movie.
Interesting. Okay.
So,
What do you think, Jared?
I'm noticing something here. No,
There's a
I'm the
pattern.
noticer.
I don't know that the current film landscape allows for this type of like guerrilla push for interest.
The
I
interest
want-
is there, obviously, though.
The interest is there. Again, again, the internet caught on fire. Shouts out to our friends, at Girls with Sabers. They came out of Carbonite to talk about this week.
True.
And I was there when they retired. I was there for that live stream to say goodbye, and everybody and they came out. They stepped out. They shook off the cobwebs just to talk about this. And I haven't had a chance to listen to what they did yet. I haven't had a chance to, and I just wanted to call attention to my sisters in arms as Raylos who are normal about this shit. And because again, to me, Raylos online get a bad rap, and I get it because there's a lot of people. There's a fandom. I'm gonna answer your question, Bill. I promise.
I hear. No, keep going.
It's just it's serpentine for me. So I think what happened. I think something really weird happened on a fandom. I talk a lot about fandom anthropology, and how I think that there is a really interesting social component that you can watch happen in fandom that's kind of unique to this space, but then has rippling effects into the real world. I've spent almost my entire online amateur broadcasting career talking about how you can draw a direct line from Gamergate to Trump administration 1 and 2. And you can draw a direct line from The Last Jedi hate and that eventually turning into woke and DEI and all of these things, that these buzzwords, start in our neck of the woods and they reverberate out in a really freaky way. And I think on some weird level, in a way that sounds impossible to describe, in the same way that it sounds weird to say that hey, did you know that Star Wars fandom is contributing to the rise of the online right? I think we watched a group of people who insisted that using a ship, which is something that I'm typically not that invested in or interested in, but using the Raylo ship as a lens through which to analyze the sequel trilogy. And I think that a lot of those people had a lot of good to say and were on the right track with these big ideas about legacy and how this was very much a yin and yang story that was unlike what we've seen a lot in Star Wars. There's a reason why Kylo Ren and Rey get a lot of Revan and Bastila Shan comparisons.
Heard.
And using that framework, I think, was a really illustrative way of explaining the story. I think a lot of people in the Raylo camp predicted a lot of what would be in The Last Jedi because they saw writing on the wall that it was really hard to discern otherwise. Because it's wait a minute, if you focus on this part of on this piece of the puzzle, a greater narrative is shown that goes beyond light and dark. It's these two people who so desperately want what the other one has. All of that to say, I think a huge part of that contingent on the internet, which is made up predominantly of women in fandom, which is a scary thing to be sometimes, caught a lot of the brunt and harassment of The Last Jedi fallout.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, we need to remember that all of the rogues gallery of pseudo intellectual punditry began with a lot of pointing and laughing at women on the internet. That's how it always starts. And the Raylos were the easy target because it was easy to paint this group of people who like the unpopular, universally hated movie, for those of you listening, air quotes, to point and laugh at them for loving this movie, and to then point and laugh at them even more because we can reduce them to being the middle-aged mom picking up a book with Fabio on the cover of the Star Wars fandom. So there's this mix of it's not that deep and misogyny. It's anti-intellectual misogyny kind of like ramming into each other, creating this like bastard child, right? So then that group of people becomes like almost fanatically dedicated to this interpretation of the text. And when they get it, but at the cost of the character they really liked, they kind of go cold. And this wakes them up. I say all of that to say, there is really big buzz around this, and it woke a lot of people up.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, what comes with that is that we have this contingent of people who I don't want to use the term radicalized, but like who were inflamed to be reactive to Star Wars in a way that is
I-
also unhealthy.
Mhm.
I think it's caused a lot of negative buzz. And I think that's part of the problem here is that so much of this is about like being angry at the Baby Yoda show. Like I think a lot of it is Andor is better than adjacent type dialogue where like it's like a lot of the people who are hyping this up, who are stomping for this, can't do it without saying other Star Wars things are bad. So I think that's a huge part of the problem. And I also don't think, and I'm sorry, Bill, you keep getting me to say something, but I also think that like I don't think Disney is receptive as a company to pressure like this. Fox had very little to lose with Deadpool. You know, like Fox had so
You're
little to
right.
lose because the X-Men movies were so middling. They were all over the place. You know, every other X-Men movie's good at this point. But like with Deadpool, it's like, ooh, there's interest. Maybe we can throw a shoestring budget at this.
But what's the most profitable Star Wars movie of all time?
A little ditty called The Force Awakens.
Who's in that movie?
Uh-huh.
What two people are in that movie?
Again, I agree with you intellectually. It's just like it's just like looking at this in that very like cold, cynical way that I know Disney looks at this shit. Like the buzz, because Star Wars fans, even the ones who aren't like out and out asshole bigots, the ones who just don't get it the loudest, can't help but talk about something they wish they got without being like, oh, and this would have fixed this bad thing we didn't like. And I think Disney, I can't imagine Disney being excited to greenlight a project that is going to be heralded as a course correction for the other movies they poured millions of dollars into. I want them to be receptive. I think personally, the best we're gonna get is Ben is in the Rey movie, a next trilogy, whatever that is. I think our best bet is this gets folded into that. But I don't think they ever greenlight this movie at this point because the buzz has been so weird.
I don't disagree with you. I just think that like the big complaints people had about like the sequel trilogy is that like, oh, they didn't incorporate enough Han, Luke, and Leia. For a particular like sequel to the sequel trilogy, like to not have Ben Solo be in it, to not have Finn in it, to not have Rey in it, to not have Poe in it, like what's the connective tissue? So like I think you need that connective tissue, and like especially all the people that have been in the sequel trilogy have expressed like if the story was right, they would come back. If the story was right, you should just bring them back. Like it's not hard to like bring everybody back, especially if like they're already willing to do it. Especially like it's so easy for like in the
I would say arguably the hardest person to bring back is Adam Driver, and he pitched you a fucking movie.
Wait, okay, there you go. Because like you can write like, okay, the Rise of Skywalker happened, and then in future years, Finn trained to become a Jedi under Rey. Poe Dameron is a general, or he's a leader in the new Republic. And now that if Adam's willing to come back, and like the story is like Rey was willing to like go through the world between worlds, or like however she was willing to go to get Ben Solo back. You have all the people that like people liked in the sequel trilogy. You have them back to tell new compelling stories that like move the series forward. Why wouldn't you do that?
And I agree. Like I said, I don't think we are ever going to get Star Wars: The Hunt for Ben Solo. I do think, especially because the Rey movie is still in incubation, Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy put some cryptic shit on social media.
And also the Star Wars channel put the
That is still
Kylo
so
Ren
funny.
and versus Palpatine versus Rey like hours after this was announced, after Adam said anything.
Which is also so hilarious. And I don't put too much stock in that. And I think
You're right, but at the same time, do you think they would have done that if he hadn't said anything? Like that's like
I am of two minds. I think it was a very unfortunate coincidence on Star Wars social media's behalf, which you know what? Slay, bestie. But I also
God damn it.
I also think there's an opportunity. I also think there's something to be said for a very cynical moment of SEO, and it's like, ooh, here's some engagement because like people are typing in the words Kylo Ren, Ben Solo into Google right now. Maybe
Swagman knows.
Yeah, Swagman knows. Whoever that grown ass adult we call Swagman is.
I'm Swagman.
Bill's been Swagman the whole time. I resent the institution of Swagman so much on a fundamental level.
I'm a big Swagman guy. I've always been a Swagman.
You've always been a Swagman guy. We all have.
I don't know about
everybody we hang out with on the internet is a big Swagman guy. Notoriously, we love it. But no, I think because the Rey movie is in incubation, we know that who was the screenwriter who got brought on to write a movie like last year, who everybody thinks might be writing episode 10?
Oh God, that's
not Kinberg. Well, Kinberg is the director, but like
Simon. No, you're right. Simon Kinberg. That's it. Yeah, that Simon Kinberg got brought onto a mysterious Star Wars project. And the speculation is that might be episode 10. The speculation is that the Rey movie might end up evolving into episode 10. There's a lot on the table here. And I feel like a lot of it is still very much in its infancy. Mm-hmm. And that is where we can go, ooh, the people want this. Mm-hmm. Let's do it.
Well, and also,
and that's what I'm more inclined to think will happen. Aside from this being a Deadpool situation.
Well, and I'm spitballing right now, but like, what if episode 10 is like Rey for years has been trying to bring back Ben Solo? There's a new darkness, and like we need Ben Solo, kind of a la like Luke Skywalker at the end of The Force Awakens, and then that's like what episode 10 is.
See, here's my thing, and this is just a me thing. I don't want Rey to be looking.
But
I want again, like I almost want like Ben.
But if Ben's
like,
been calling out to her, like maybe she wasn't looking, but like then all of a sudden, like he's reaching out, like
yeah, that's my thing. I don't necessarily want it to be like Rey's been looking this whole time. Mm-hmm. I really like the idea of Ben being gone.
Yeah.
Like actually gone. And I really like the idea as well that what we're staring down the barrel of is like Ben, for him, he's been in the world between worlds for a few hours. What he doesn't realize is he's going to be spat back out into the galaxy 15 years later. And
that's really fucking cool.
And that's when he comes back, when the Force is like, okay, there's something coming. You're ready now. And that Rey's like, I felt for years, like I feel these weird tremors in the Force. Like I feel him, but he's never appeared to me, you know? And when Luke appears to me, I ask him, I'm like, why do I sense Ben? And he says like, and he hits me with the nobody's ever really gone because he can't say the words because it's weird and it's too much for somebody who's still channeling the living force, but not yet a part of the cosmic force to understand. And that the Force goes, okay, I think you're ready to go back on to prime time. And then he reemerges and he's back now. And I also think, to put my Raylo cap on for a second, let me you know, I gotta dust it off, you know, real quick and put my Raylo cap on. What's Rey's defining trauma?
I mean, she's got a couple.
They never
I mean,
came back.
She needs like a family, I guess.
And she has it, but they never came back for her.
If Ben were to come back for her, that'd be pretty cool.
You know, Ben came back. And he's
gonna come.
He's gonna come. And as Ben Solo, somebody who spent literal time inside of Rey's head, he knows how defining that is, and how much of a game changer that would be for her. But yeah, I think we will see something from Ben Solo in the future. I don't think it's his own movie, but I think something will come.
I think Adam being willing to like do this, and like if he was working on a movie for a couple of years, let's just like why not like try to figure out a way to bring him back? Like once again, it's if Oscar is like, with the right story, I'll come back. Daisy is already back. John is already saying, I'll come back with the right story. And now Adam's been developing a story. What are we doing here? Just like make it work.
Yeah. But yeah, unless anybody else has any other thoughts, I think that's it.
We got it?
I think we got it. Bill, where can the lovely people find you, my friend?
Y'all can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Star Wars Bill. If you like my thoughts on Star Wars or thinking to yourself, wow, I wonder if that guy executive produces a political podcast, you can follow me at Truth in the Barrel. And that's just at Truth in the Barrel at Instagram, Twitter, couple other sites, but just put Truth in the Barrel in. And this has been a wonderful conversation. And Ben Solo lives! !
Ben Solo lives. Yeah. I don't know. I have a Girls with Sabers Ben Solo lives shirt that I was going to wear, but I think it ended up on Taylor's side of the closet because she wears it around the house all the time. And I don't even know. I'm not brave enough to go into her side of the closet because it's a fucking mess. There's a clear dividing line in the closet as to who's like really weird about organizing their clothes. And the love of my life, who I host a podcast with, on the other side. Conor, where can the lovely people find you, brother?
Instagram, ConmanJFO. Blue Sky, even though I'm not really on there, at Death of Banana. What other social sites? Oh, subscribe to our Patreon so you can get my Discord because I'm not giving that out for free. Where else? Oh, not Knights of the Republic. That's a show. For the Republic podcast, where I also talk Star Wars, where we'll probably talk about this at some point. You can find us on YouTube, Instagram, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, just For the Republic podcast. Just Google us. You'll probably find us. And then Star Wars in a Galaxy, Epic Confrontations. You can find all of our past, present, and future matches over at the Star Wars in a Galaxy YouTube channel. I co-host and write questions. It's fun.
Fuck yeah, Conor.
So,
Oh, yeah.
Jarod.
Yeah.
Where?
You guys can find me personally on Instagram and Blue Sky at Dark Jedi 2552. You can catch me over on Pro and Noob on the Mitch692 channel. Pro and Noob's coming back here soon. We're going to be doing all of Attack on Titan. At the same time, we're also doing the other show here on the Nerd Academy podcast, The Road to Doomsday, the MCU rewatch show that Taylor and I are doing together. God, hiccups. $5 tier gets you early access to every single episode of the show.
You access to every early fuck me.
Every early access fuck me. It gets you early access to every episode of the show and exclusive access to our audio commentary series covering it. We are about to do Captain America: The Winter Soldier on Road to Doomsday, and only this week did Incredible Hulk come out. So that's how far ahead we are on Patreon. So consider chucking in a buck over there. Yeah, and obviously Epic Confrontations and Luminous Odyssey, the new Star Wars RPG we're doing over on All Remaining Systems. None of that is out yet, but we've recorded a couple episodes and it's been really fun. Like I said, Nerd Academy Podcast, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, wherever you get your podcast, Blue Sky, Patreon, like I said. Thank you to our $10 alumnus, Paco, Ray Clausen, and Brendan Marr from Page Turners They Were Not. And yeah, listen to Truth in the Barrel and Ben Solo Lives. And we need to have better fucking conversations about this shit.
Go Cats! C-A-T-S! Cats, cats, cats! Oh, C-A-T-S! Cats, cats, cats! That's all I got.
Stop! Move away from the cookie jar!